now. So my
Yeah.
name is Demelza Hayes.
Hi guys, my name is Andres. Thanks for joining us tonight with our latest guest. Tonight we'll be talking to Bernardo Almeida, co-founder of Students for Liberty in Europe, in Portugal, and now member of the executive board of European Students for Liberty. So Bernardo, what is it you do with Students for Liberty?
So I am part of the executive board member, and I'm currently the regional director for Portugal and Spain. And I'm in charge of overseeing all the local coordinators in these two countries. So my job is basically to develop a strategy for this year and manage all the resources so that the SFL can keep expanding in the region. The point in terms of my role is really to make sure everything is run smoothly and that ESFL in Spain and Portugal keep growing. And as part of the executive board, we just decide on the main objectives for each year and divide a strategy for Europe as a whole. It was a bit long, but that's my job description, so to say.
Oh yeah, and thank you for that. I just wanted to back up a second. We didn't really tell any of our viewers right now what's going on. So basically we have a show. This is our second episode of Liberty in Europe. And our guest today is from ESFL. We're going to be talking about ESFL and also about the liberty movement in Europe and contrasting that with the movement in the U.S. So as Bernardo just explained, he's part of the executive board at ESFL. And I just had a few questions before we started talking about ESFL. I wanted to know, so have you done anything recently, like in the past few days, to bring more liberty to Europe? Like, have you actually done anything recently the past couple of days where, you know, you've had a great discussion with someone or something happened where you felt like, okay, this is going to increase liberty in Europe?
Well, though I'm still not there, I'm excited to say that we just recently selected our new class of incoming local coordinators, which I think is a big boost for liberty in Europe. Just tomorrow, I'll be flying to Germany to attend our retreat in Gummersbach, which is really in the middle of nowhere, to provide that experience where people can discuss ideas and get engaged. And we'll be training and guiding over 140 local coordinators so that we can empower them to become the future leaders of liberty in Europe. And recently, not on the past few weeks, but on 2 months ago, I'd also like to mention that I organized the first ever leadership forum in Lisbon. This is part of our leadership forum program all over Europe, and its purpose is not just to promote ESFL and the ideas of liberty, of course, but most importantly to sort of balance in the area and come up with a strategy to push the ideas of libertarianism in the country. This would be Portugal, of course.
Oh, wonderful. I think I read about that. Was it called the Liberty Fora, F-O-R-A? Liberty Fora? What it was?
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. And we had the edition of it, which was the Lisbon Leadership Forum. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting year for liberty in Portugal and Spain.
Yeah, that's really great. So I was thinking about applying to become a local coordinator for ESFL in Liechtenstein. And yeah, I was wondering what that entailed. I guess that I'd have to read more about what local coordinators are doing currently. And how does the training work in Germany? What do people learn?
So people go there after a rigorous selection process. We only select the best and brightest, people that have some experience in running a group or that are active promoters of liberty. But still, we want to really season them and provide them with the tools to gain gain a better ability to promote ESFL. So basically, they learn about how to do a marketing campaign, how to organize events, how to even do some fundraising, and overall, how to have that really backbone on overcoming any obstacle that might arise in their projects to promote liberty.
Wonderful. Well, I'm definitely going to look into that program.
Yeah,
I want to apply to be a local coordinator and definitely attend one of these events where I can learn how to be a effective local coordinator.
So, Bernardo, you're also involved with the Ludwig van Mises Institute in Portugal somehow?
I used to be, I was actually one of the co-founders, but due to several reasons, I'm no longer part of the Institute, and that's a whole other issue. But I was one of the co-founders, and it has gone through a lot of issues and has a new board, but now I'm only focusing on ESFL.
Great. Can you tell us anything else about anything else you do in Europe aside from ESFL and founding the Ludwig Institute in Portugal?
Personally speaking, I'm currently a student at the Warwick Business School. I'm studying finance, and I try to get engaged with some of the pro-liberty groups here on my free time. There's the Liberty League in London, which usually organizes a big conference each year that's dedicated to promoting the promotion of the ideas of liberty. It's a really big conference. I think it's the main event in London. But I dare say that this year the main event in London will be ESFL's very own regional conference.
When is that?
It should be, if I'm not mistaken, the 10th of October.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I saw that there was a lot of regional conferences throughout Europe, and
yes.
I was wondering what happens at these conferences. Are they like where people get to network, or are there lectures? What can someone expect when they attend one of these?
Regional conferences are the biggest conference events in a region, as the name suggests. So, for example, ESFL is divided in several regions, which is appointed to a director. And for example, the UK region has its own regional conference, and it's like a main event that serves as not only a set of conferences with the brightest speakers of the country or that are somehow connected to the issues in the United Kingdom, but also it's a meeting point for everyone in the region to get to know each other or just to catch up on what everyone's doing.
Well, let's see, London on October 10th. I don't think I can make it. But
well, that's a shame, but there'll be plenty others.
Yeah, I'll try to attend one of the other events.
You can come to Barcelona on the 24th of October then. I think that would be great. And you speak Spanish, so you would fit in perfectly.
Yeah, Andreas does as well. Andreas his family's from Valencia, so yes, I'll speak.
Oh, really?
I am half Spanish. And talking about events in that region, next month on the 3rd of September, Vit, the president of Liberland, will be in Spain visiting the Libertarian Party, P-LIB. And there will be an open event which you can attend if you want to.
Oh, that's great. We should definitely promote that on our own ESFL channels.
Right, but you're in London, right? You're going to be there for a few more years while you finish up your studies.
Yes, certainly. But I usually commute many times to, because I'm from Portugal and it's just 2 hours away, so many times I go to Lisbon just to go back home, and also I use the opportunity to check on the groups and then go to Madrid and also try to arrange things with coordinators and the national coordinator.
Thank goodness for Ryanair, huh?
Yes, thank goodness for low-cost flights.
So, Bernardo, can you tell me, how did you become interested in the liberty movement? Were there certain books that you read, or were you how did you get interested?
Well, since a very young age, I was always interested in philosophy and politics, really. But I often spent most of my time trying to solve this internal conflict I had between traditional left and right politics. So I was always told by everyone that you had to pick a side. You either went with upholding free market economics while being socially conservative, or you were more accepting of individual freedoms, but that would mean wanting a large and more protectionism to the economy. And above all, I simply couldn't find something that really wanted to focus on personal merit and responsibility. So as soon as I realized that the free market economic system, or laissez-faire economics, whatever you want to call it, was the closest thing to a meritocracy, it really didn't take long until I discovered libertarianism, or the ideas of liberty. So the first book I read that really changed my outlook was Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, which I think baptized many of us into the ideas of liberty, to be honest. But the turning point was definitely Hayek with The Road to Serfdom, and Anarchy, the State and Utopia by Nozick, which I'm a minarchist, sorry. and most importantly, Human Action by Ludwig von Mises. Because even if you don't agree with praxeology, it is definitely the book that encompasses the core ideas of liberty.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I had a similar path. I first read Atlas Shrugged. I read a little bit more of Ayn Rand, and then I read The Road to Serfdom, and yeah, then moved on to Human Action. But that's really interesting. I think a lot of people were introduced to the liberty movement through Ayn Rand. So whether you like her or not,
yeah,
you can't deny she's done an incredible thing for the libertarian movement.
I think the fact that it is a novel really makes it easily accessible to the masses, which sometimes are really fed up with politics, like, ironically, many libertarians are.
Definitely.
So, if you were to recommend one book to our audience, maybe something you'd expect them not to have read yet, what book would you recommend?
That's a really tough question. Well, I can say this. I will not recommend a book probably they won't have read, but I'll recommend it for reasons they probably didn't think of it. So I would recommend The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, and mind me, I'm not trying to promote Ayn Rand in any specific way, but I think that it's a really easily accessible book, The Fountainhead, and it best captures the passion of entrepreneurship. And you can say, so why are you not recommending a technical book on how to become an entrepreneur? Well, because not everyone has to become an entrepreneur in the traditional sense of starting your own company. But as a libertarian, I strongly believe that everyone should have an entrepreneurial spirit, you know, the sort of do-it-yourself attitude towards life, so that each individual, by his own action, and through cooperating with others, really, can achieve his goals without relying on the state, you know. So this has a tremendous impact on society, having this entrepreneurial spirit. And by doing so, by being like this, you're influencing and encouraging society as a whole to gradually emancipate itself from the nanny state, which is really a big issue that's creating such bad habits. And then people will start privileging individual responsibility over that usual sense of self-entitlement that's becoming so common, and it's such an obstacle to technological and economic prosperity.
I think that's such a great recommendation.
I can totally agree with that. We should definitely be encouraging people to join the great ranks of libertarian entrepreneurs like Peter Thiel, Patrick Byrne.
Yeah, Andreas, can you speak up just a little bit? I'm having just a little bit hard time hearing you.
Oh, better like this?
Yeah, maybe if you talk closer to the...
Yep. How about now?
Okay, yeah, that's great. So, yeah, you were saying, like, there's a lot of great entrepreneurs that are libertarian.
Peter Thiel. I think there is something to be said about a link between the branches of entrepreneurship and libertarianism.
Yeah, I definitely love The Fountainhead. I think that's a fantastic book, and I never really thought about how it does highlight. I mean, it does highlight entrepreneurship. I don't know. I feel like I've attended a few entrepreneurship conferences in Europe, and it really felt like there was an elephant in the room, because people would not call themselves entrepreneurs. They would say they're social entrepreneurs, or like they wouldn't talk about return on investment or profit. I went to a Fulbright and Microsoft incubator conference in Berlin last year, and they said, well, we don't really care about profits. We only care about like social profits, or like we don't want to make the return. You know, I don't know how they really explained it. I mean, I don't remember, but it was basically like profit was a dirty word, and entrepreneur was a dirty word unless you were a social entrepreneur. And I think this isn't really thinking about how wealth's created. I mean, entrepreneurs are doing a service to society, and if they are creating wealth, then they're actually benefiting consumers. So you're already a social entrepreneur just by following your own selfish motives for a return on your investment.
Yes, I think if I may comment on that very briefly, I think the issue you touched upon is really interesting, because it really shows the social stigma against capitalism that's heavily institutionalized. But I think it's quite interesting. For example, Elon Musk, which is very talked about right now because of all of these ventures, put things in a way that I think it's very interesting. It's not necessarily a sin, or It's good to dream about the pursuit of profit, but you can still, through the pursuit of profit and trying to actually make a company sustainable and deliver the best products, still create a lot of social value if your objectives are not an abstract concept of social happiness or social value, but actually great products, regardless of it being more profitable or not so profitable. But you always have to bear in mind profit and the creation of wealth for the sustainability of the structure that delivers the products itself. So I think people should really start reading more, and I definitely agree with what Andrea said. Liberty and entrepreneurship and prosperity, either technological or economically, go side by side.
It's very related things. So anyway, changing the subject a little bit, talk to us about ESFL. How can anyone get involved with ESFL? How easy is it to join it?
So there are many ways you can get involved with the European Students for Liberty. So for starters, you can simply join a group in your region which is affiliated with ESFL, like an individual group that wants to promote liberty but is under, it's cooperating and part of the ESFL Alliance, and volunteer to help organize its events, or even, if you think you're qualified, be a speaker. You can also, as I've just mentioned before, officially join through our several programs, such as the local coordinator program, or if you think you're already a veteran in libertarianism and still want to do more and is still a student, you can try and directly apply to be an executive board member. But also, if you don't want to have a lot of responsibility and you like to stick to your corner, or do something a bit more academic, we're always in need of articles for our blog. Even though ESFL is not an academic organization, so to say, we do have a blog, and we're always in need for people to make their contribution.
Yeah, I was thinking about writing something for the blog on the website. That seems like a really great opportunity to have an experience writing, and I think you do get a lot of readers. I know I read that blog.
Yeah,
So.
and if I can say, actually, we have a blogging team of our own, and not only you're being given the opportunity to write, but you also get a lot of feedback and some training on how to write better and how to improve your communication skills in the written form. So I think it's really a plus. You really gain something by contributing to the community of SFL.
Sorry, go ahead.
SFL is also having its first essay contest.
Yes, we're having an essay contest, and though I can't really go into specifics about prizes, there will be one, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a very worthwhile experience, because then again, when you're applying to this, you always learn something else. You always gain extra leverage to your own writing skills through forcing yourself to go through this process.
Absolutely, I can definitely recommend to anyone listening in on this who wants to improve their writing skills, give essay contests a go. They're definitely worth your time.
Yeah, I'm going to be submitting an essay to the ESFL essay contest. I think the deadline's on August 15th in a few days, if I'm not mistaken. And I think also I read in the email that the award was $200, but I might have been mistaken. I'm not sure.
Oh, that might be true. I mean, I was not quite sure if there was decided, but I'm guessing it's quite possible that it is a cash prize.
I think that's what I read, because usually, like, I like essay contests, but you know, if it's like I'm not going to make money, then I don't know if I really have the time right now to do it. But it's definitely a great experience for people that you know, want to get feedback on their writing and just get better at writing. Like, one of my hardest things is it takes me forever to write an essay, and I just need to get into the habit of writing faster. And like Rothbard would do. I mean, Walter Block says that Rothbard did 8 pages an hour, you know, and it's just...
if everyone could reach that writing ability, I think we would be living in a freer world right now if we could produce so much content and of such great quality.
Yeah, if libertarians could produce 8 pages per hour and then socialists could produce like half a page per hour, we would be like, yeah.
Productivity wins again.
Oh, I think there's something to be said about quality above quantity.
Definitely.
Sure. Let's see. So, okay, if I were to join ESFL, what would be like a benefit that I could get from joining?
So
what's the value proposition? Why should I join ESFL?
There are so many. If you read through the website, I mean, there are plenty of benefits for joining ESFL. That is esfl.org. But I would say that the most important one is really related to the organization's mission, which is to educate, develop, and empower the next generation of leaders of liberty. So let's put it this way. If you're a student and you're interested in spreading the ideas of liberty, SFL will give you all the resources so you can improve yourself in promoting these ideas. And by extension, when you're improving yourself and defending an idea, you're empowering the ideas themselves, I think. And we also give great opportunities to students because we invest a great deal of financial resources, aka money, and you're given a unique opportunity, if you're a local coordinator, for example, to run an event with the support of the largest pro-liberty or student organization in the world. I think that's not something you get every day. But to me, the biggest value that we can get out of SFL, and it's definitely a crucial aspect, is that SFL is a meeting point for like-minded students within the pro-liberty movement. So our founder and president, Alexander McCoven, often mentions how lonely he felt before creating SFL. And I think that at some point in our lives, in high school or even university, we shared that feeling of loneliness because there simply wasn't anyone organizing anything on campuses that could bring people together for this common cause of the ideas of liberty. So one of the reasons behind the creation of SFL itself was to create this meeting point for people to communicate and share the ideas with like-minded individuals. So really, our focus is to improve yourself, to help you improve yourself, and to get you to know more people that share the same passion for these ideas.
That seems really valuable. I think that when I'm in Europe, I just feel like the only outlet I have is Reddit. Like that's the only place I can really, feel like I'm not crazy, which is really a bad thing to say. That Reddit's what makes me feel sane. But but no, I think it would be fantastic. I was living in Toulouse when I was in Europe, so there wasn't a really strong ESFL chapter there. It only had a few members. And my French is really weak, so I couldn't really get involved there. But yeah, but I think this is really fantastic just to be able, when I spend time around other libertarians, I just really feel like optimistic about the future because I feel like, well, there's some really clever people working towards this common goal, and eventually these ideas are going to spread because it's just so hard to argue with them. So.
Yeah, I think while we're definitely not for collectivism and we're for individualism, I think every libertarian should agree that mutualism, a lot of isms here, sorry, is a very good thing. And when people come together to empower these ideas, I think that the results are just incredible. And SFL has done a tremendous job to promote liberty all over the world.
Great point.
Yeah, it's not because we're individualists that we shouldn't want to associate with each other. It's basic division of labor. So tell me more about that opportunity to meet people. Is it possible to get jobs through the alumni society?
So the alumni society called Alumni for Liberty is like our very own alumni network for veterans of the liberty movement. In essence, it's a platform where you can access a list with the contacts of all the alumni who are mostly successful people either in academia, business, law, or nonprofits. It's specifically aimed at using this vast network that ESFL has created all over these years, since 2008, to help people improve themselves, but also help them further advance on their careers. So to answer your question directly, I wouldn't say you're obviously not given a job just like that, but it will certainly open doors for you through our career services, which is the specific team that helps you advance your career. These people basically help you edit your resume or cover letter. They do interview training. They offer recommendations, which is very good. But the most valuable aspect, I think, is definitely the mentorships. So you're basically put in touch with someone from a specific field you're interested in, let's say I'm in finance now, and there's an ex-SFLer or someone within the pro-liberty movement that's doing a Bitcoin project now and is working with banks, and I would like to get into that, and he would help me to start to steer my choices and help me make the best decisions to reach those goals.
Nice.
That's incredible. No, I would love to have
please,
a great mentor. I would love to sign up for the mentor program.
I encourage you all. This is very good, and I think you don't see this usually on student organizations.
Sure, I guess libertarianism has this tradition of mentorships. The greatest line of Austrian thinkers have all been mentors of each other.
Yeah, so, okay, moving ahead, I was wondering, I think I read that your big conference this year is going to be in Prague, your annual conference in 2016?
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to be your biggest event, and I think I saw that, oh wait, you haven't announced the speakers yet, I don't think.
Nope. We only have announced that it will be on the Charles University, or in Czech, Karlova University. And it's actually going to be the first time, we're going to be doing this in Prague for the first time. And the annual conference is the major European Students for Liberty event of the year. And it's a little bit different than the regional conference. We invite speakers, just like the regional conference, but the scale is more global. We invite them from all over the world to discuss the hottest topics on liberty worldwide, but of course, with a clear emphasis on Europe. The major difference, I would say, is that it's a bit more interactive than the regional conferences. We try to break sort of the traditional molds of conferences. So we have the traditional speakers and debates, but we also like to challenge students to engage in different formats like roundtable discussions and even workshops. If I quite recall, we even had a Bitcoin workshop on the Berlin annual conference last year, which was on the Humboldt University. I think that yeah, there was a team there teaching you how to purchase and sell your own Bitcoins and explaining what was the concept behind it.
Wonderful.
I think these things really make the difference, and it is also, without any doubt, the largest gathering of pro-liberty students in Europe. It's like, again, we're trying to get this synthesis of friends meeting each other again throughout the year and catching up on what each group is doing and really trying to coordinate and do more for liberty together.
Well, I think that Andreas and I will definitely try to attend. Prague's only 5 hours from where we live, so it's not bad. It's not a bad trip to attend a wonderful event.
This is an open event, so you're more than invited.
Wonderful.
So, what about the Austrian Economics Center? Well, what can you tell us about this organization? They've been working closely with ESFL. What's their background?
I think you have an event. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry?
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, ESFL cooperates with organizations like Liberty Fund and the Austrian Economics Center, which is located in Vienna and whose mission is to promote the ideas of Austrian economics. I think the title, the name of the institution is pretty self-explanatory. We usually cooperate with them in several occasions. For example, I was already part of the local coordinator team last year from Portugal, not Spain, but I do know that in Spain they organized a series of free market roadshows where they did several conferences on Austrian economics, and SFL helped them organize that. And also this year we will be having a joint project with Austrian Economics Center and Liberty Fund, which is going to be very exciting, especially for those who want to work in academia. This will be a traditional Liberty Fund conference/debate. It will be on the 10th to the 13th of November in Vienna. And for those of you who don't know what this format of Liberty Fund is, it's just a tremendous opportunity for students who want to follow academia to engage in this sort of Socratic style of open discussion, where they can discuss with other extremely bright students, as the selection process is very rigorous. They can discuss and debate a lot of issues that they need to read beforehand. So that the topic this year is the institutions of liberty, and how the relationship between freedom, the markets, and culture is developed. And so students will be definitely gathered together in a roundtable discussion in this open-style Socratic debate, and they will be trying to reach conclusions. And this is really a unique opportunity, because usually the Liberty Fund debate is only for a selected few academics. Of course, the scale here will be a bit still formal, but the level won't be as tough, I say. But then again, we're uniting the brightest students with some of the brightest academics, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of great conclusions will come out of that debate. And then again, I cannot stress this enough, it is a unique and tremendous opportunity for you as a student. If you want to be a professor, if you want to do a PhD, it's a great opportunity to promote yourself and network with some of the brightest libertarian students and academics in Europe.
Nice. Well, I'll also try to attend to that.
I think that that's really competitive application process. I don't think it's free to open to the public.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you apply it, just if you do a small Google search, 2015 Liberty Fund, Students for Liberty, Google shall give you the immediate address to our website where you can apply. And of course, we have a very rigorous selection process, because all costs are covered by the Austrian Economic Centers, and the 15 students that will go will have to prove themselves on several occasions that they're up to the task of reading several books and of being able to really discuss this in the mature and informed and highly intellectual environment that Austrian Economic Center and Liberty Fund intends to.
Nice. So that's in November. I will be in Vienna. The application deadline is 10th of September. So if any of our viewers want to apply to that, you can Google Liberty Fund 2015.
But it's important to include the SFL, because Liberty Fund has a lot of events throughout the world.
Mm-hmm. Include SFL in the search.
So that sounds really similar to. I'm sorry. It's a little bit choppy for me. I keep interrupting you because it sounds like you're not speaking, and then you actually are. I don't know. I'm getting a bad signal, I guess. But it sounds like the Rothbard Graduate Seminar a little bit. The Rothbard Graduate Seminar used to, at the Mises Institute in Auburn, it used to be where these scholars would lecture at you, and you would just sit down and drink your coffee and take notes. But the past couple years, they changed it around more with the Socratic method in mind, where now we do a lot of readings, and then we have a session based on, for example, the knowledge problem, knowledge in society versus the calculation problem, and we compare and contrast these arguments by Mises and Hayek, and it's like a discussion format. We're all at one big round table, and I think that, yeah, when I did it this year, there was 15 people there, maybe 16. It was really a great way to learn, because I felt like I was engaging, and it was just a lot more, I don't know, it was a lot more interesting for me than to be lectured at for a few hours. So I really enjoyed that. I'm really interested to see this Liberty Fund, and it's called the Symposium, was it? Liberty Fund Symposium, or is that
yes,
not
it's
what
called the Liberty Fund Symposium, yes.
It's called the... So now that we've gotten acquainted with how people can get involved with ESFL, maybe we should just talk a little bit about what ESFL actually is. So can you tell me what is ESFL? How is it related to SFL?
So SFL, Students for Liberty, is the name of the main organization, the whole organization, and it's divided through several regions for better management. You have ESFL, European Students for Liberty, and you have several others like Estudantes pela Liberdade in Brazil. You have S Libertad for the Spanish-speaking Americas. But SFL also refers to, we often say SFL also refers to the North American branch. But they're pretty much, they're part of the same umbrella organization, which is SFL. And SFL really, to give you the exact description of what SFL is, it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization that, as you obviously have guessed by now, it's run by students and for students dedicated to liberty. Again, our mission is really to educate and develop and empower the next generation of leaders of liberty. I know this sounds very sloganish, but this is precisely what we do. This is what we specialize in, and I think we're doing a great job with all of our programs, from local coordinator to executive board to regional conferences. We've really managed to give students the resources and the platform to dedicate their time to promote liberty in the most effective way.
Okay. So are there other competitive, are you in competition with YAL? Like, is there a YAL in Europe, or?
No, YAL is, well, since it's Young Americans for Liberty, I'm not quite sure, but I think it's only restricted to the United States. I wouldn't say, I mean, we're competing with anyone. After all, our goals are similar in the end of the day, which is to promote liberty. So I don't think we're necessarily competing with anyone.
When did
I think
sorry.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I was just asking, when did ESFL start?
Oh, go ahead, Bernardo.
Yeah, but go ahead with what you were saying.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that I see our competitors as all those socialist political youth organizations, and really, I see our competitors as the other side, or even not just to bash the left, but the extremely conservative, anachronistic right who wants to ban individual freedom. To me, I mean, this is my personal perspective. It's important to note that, to me, those are our competitors, those who want to promote something that is not pro-liberty, that want to restrict individual freedom and economic freedom. Not necessarily other organizations which might disagree on us and the way things are done, or how you should act, so to say, in the defense of liberty. But I don't see other organizations defending liberty as our competitors at all.
So if those are your so-called competitors, people who promote socialism and collectivism in academic backgrounds, how strong would you say this opposition is? Have you seen a lot of such groups in European universities? Do you know of any of them?
Well, I could mention names, but I think the important thing to note is that they are the majority. To follow up on what you said before, there's a very good point to be made about quality and quantity. They're definitely the majority, and they often try to repress our debates. I can even mention that we tried to host a conference on a small region of Spain, Castellón, with one of the biggest libertarian thinkers, Juan Ramón Rayo, and the organizers had their posters ripped off walls and were mocked at, and even in a conference in Serbia about drug legalization last year, some neo-Nazis tried to invade the venue and stop it, and they spat and were very rude and aggressive with people. So they're definitely the majority, but then again, I think that we hold reason, and while this of course is debatable, we agree in liberty, other people might have other views, but I can say that 99.999% of libertarians, and I would dare say 100%, conduct themselves in a much more professional and calm manner and try to appeal to reason and not violence and fear to get their ideas to come across. So again, they might be the majority in most cases in Europe, as academia is dominated by a left-wing thinking, but I think more and more people start to see the value of having a pro-liberty stance, and I'm pretty sure that that situation will reverse in a couple of years, especially as these new generations of people engaged with Students for Liberty and other organizations go forth and make a greater impact on society by their own.
Yeah, I'd really like to highlight that and really reiterate that how commendable it is that libertarian associations are very typically associated with calm-mannered and appealing to rationality rather than other youth, like as opposed to other youth organizations which are often violent, as you mentioned, and extremist. So I think from the perspective of any youth just entering university, it's quite clear who it is best to associate with between the
Definitely.
available groups. What do you think, Demelza?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the end of what you said. My connection is bad.
Oh, that's okay. I was just saying that as a youth entering university, it would be very easy to decide who to associate with when the libertarians are so calm-mannered and the other groups are often violent or emotional.
Okay. Well, for me, I mean, I started out in college supporting Obama and supporting the Democrat organizations on campus only because they were the one that was like really advertising. Like when I walked to the library from the cafeteria, it was Democrat association after Democrat association after Democrat association, and they were doing things like anti-war, anti-drug law, get homosexuality or marriage for homosexuals approved or whatever. They were doing a lot of progressive things. All my friends were interested in these progressive things. So I was just, there was no libertarian booth at my school. I mean, it was just, there was one Republican booth and then like 4 or 5 different Democrat leftist societies that you could join. So, of course, I joined the Democrat one that I thought was the best and helped Obama get elected or whatever. I did my small part to destroy this country, which I'll spend the rest of my life working to make up for. But for me, there just wasn't even a libertarian voice on my campus. So it wasn't very clear for me. I mean, it took me a long time to get acquainted with these ideas, and it was only because of my aunt. Like, I really have to thank her a lot. She was a friend of Ayn Rand. She repeatedly gave me textbooks. She repeatedly gave me Ayn Rand's literature. I had a really communist friend in my freshman year, and we would hang out all the time, and we would go do things like occupy Tampa, go protest and be communist together. And he told me, well, Demelza, capitalism is a cancer on society, and it lives off the host until it eventually kills it. And I was like, oh yeah, capitalism, it's like cancer, it's horrible. And then I went and talked to my aunt about it, and she said, okay, but Demelza, how is it a cancer? Like, can you just tell me the reasons it's a cancer? And I went back and I asked my friend, can you give me some reasons why it's a cancer? Because I hadn't even questioned his authority or his statement. And he said, oh, well, who told you that it's not? Like, they're stupid. And he just got really mad that I even questioned his rhetoric. So, then I started wondering, well, he can't answer me, and my aunt has a point, and maybe I should start actually reading some of the books she's given me over the years. So that was a big turning point for me. I mean, I think, like, we have to do, like, Liberty.me that's why I'm supporting Liberty.me and ESFL and SFL, because this is actually getting these ideas out there. Right now, it's like we're just getting washed away with all this other, propaganda from these other organizations, just like Mises' Human Action book got washed away by the Keynesians and that whole movement. Like, it wasn't that, Mises was wrong. It was, he had a lot of reason, and it was a really strong argument, but all these other people were paying attention to Keynes. I don't know, I feel like this is incredible. Like, my whole point is that Liberty.me and ESFL, these organizations are doing great things to get these ideas heard by people. So.
Yeah, they sure are.
That was like a 5-minute rant. This isn't even my interview. But, okay, getting back to Bernardo. I was wondering, is there a specific country that you think is really strong with the liberty movement? And, like, is ESFL really strong in certain countries compared to others?
Well, I think every country is doing its bit. But to name a few, I think that it's very strong in the Czech Republic, hence why we're doing the annual conference this year, because we have so many people involved from several cities on the Czech Republic. Serbia has always been a very strong libertarian, a country with a very strong libertarian movement, at least student-wise, and they have a think tank there. It's really good. Germany, Spain, of course. I've got to mention Spain, which is growing at an incredible rate, and I can only say that I myself am very surprised how Spain, even compared to Portugal, which is my country, is growing so much, and it's having such an impact. France as well, and in Greece, it's also worth to mention, I think a bit as a reaction to what has been happening, and with the victory of Syriza, which is one of the typical left-wing populist party, and since it has brought recently ruin to the country, I think that more and more the movement in Greece will be emboldened and will become quite large, and definitely a big voice for liberty in Europe.
Nice. So I take it you've seen a growing number of members in Greece. Have they come from a specific campus, maybe in Athens? Do you know where they're most concentrated?
I know there are a lot of people in Athens, but Thessalonica also has a big concentration. I think these are the two major cities. But then again, Greece, with its tremendous number of islands, it's a bit hard by memory to recall specifically where the groups are dispersed. But I know that one of our best coordinators, Nikos there, sometimes even organizes big events directly in Greece with major organizations like the Atlas Network Foundation, which is one of the biggest supporters of liberty worldwide, and even the Cato Institute, which is the name for liberty worldwide as well.
Are there any countries that are really struggling, like where liberty movement just is dwindling away or doesn't exist at all?
Well, I wouldn't say a specific country is struggling where people are allowed to have some sort of political expression. In Portugal, UK, I mean, some countries have smaller movements, and Portugal is picking up the pace, but it was a bit complicated to do things because people are not so used to these student groups and organizations. But I've got to say that the countries where you can say people are really struggling is countries like Azerbaijan, Belarus, Russia, where there's political repression, people are physically harmed, they're prosecuted. Even outside of Europe, I recall, we had situations in Venezuela where, luckily, while they were doing a conference, they were tipped off that they were going to invade the venue, and they just sort of packed things and ran away 10 minutes before a bunch of goons walked in and broke everything. So it's really shocking sometimes, but this is, my friends, this is reality, and this is what's happening in the world, and this is what we're trying to eradicate, that people are not even able to discuss ideas openly. So I wouldn't say that in Western Europe, even in several countries of Eastern Europe where there's freedom of expression, countries are struggling. Even if there's a lot of repression in the sense that it's not a very friendly environment, I think that only motivates people to do more. But in countries where it is so repressed and you have to choose between sometimes your life and your physical integrity and promoting an idea, I think only the boldest ones will choose the second option, because it's really complicated to organize something.
Sure. Now everyone is ready to give up their livelihoods like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like now that the libertarian movement is so big that I feel like I can still have a successful career and hold on to my principles. I think that maybe 100 years ago, people like Lysander Spooner in the U.S. or other Benjamin Tucker, a lot of these forerunners in the U.S., like they really were ostracized. So I feel like this is really great now, because now there's so many, like there's a firm near where I live in Vaduz that specifically hires Austrian economists. I mean, it's incredible. Like, they're a wealth management firm, and they're looking for people that understand the business cycle theory, so that they can, you know, give advice to their businesses about how to avoid this illusion of prosperity caused by inflation. So I think that that's, you know, it's really incredible now that this movement's gotten so big. We don't necessarily, I mean, a lot of people do see the cost outweighing the benefits, but
I'd just like to mention, since you spoke about the magnitude of the movement, I think SFL has been crucial to increasing those numbers. So you have an idea, let me just give you, sort of paint the picture of how things are. We have SFL is present through its regional organizations in all continents. We're in North America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, Australia. We have more than 1,800 groups around the world, 900 to 1,000 student leaders, and if you were specifically try and look at people that are part of the groups these leaders manage, we'd be talking about tens of thousands of people. We know that it should be around 10,000 students and alumni. This is, of course, small in the greater scale of the world, but it's still amazing how people are able to, I've been able to come together with this organization, and we have thousands of students promoting the ideas of liberty. And of course the repercussions will be, just as you said, more and more, even in either financial sector, business, and science. People will start to give a lot more credit to Austrian economics, to monetary theory, and to the whole spectrum of libertarian ideas, which are in many ways scientifical, just because they don't dwell in pure, precise math as many other branches of knowledge. They don't lose their validity, and I think coming from the financial sector, more and more people from hedge funds and big investors are starting to take the business cycle into account as a very important, concept to grasp when they make their own investments.
no.
Since we don't have that much time, under 10 minutes, I think, I'm just going to open this up to questions from the audience, and we'll keep on asking our own questions while you type your questions, and we'll include yours before the end.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So, I think... So just to confirm this, SFL is an apolitical organization, as in it doesn't support any political parties openly. Is that correct?
Now, SFL, as I've mentioned, when I said SFL is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, that translated into English means that we cannot politically endorse any parties or any individuals representing them. So, and we really cannot do it because of legal issues, but I think even if there weren't any legal obstacles, one of the SFL's core tenets, it's Hayek's theory of social change, which tries to explain that society changes if people support the ideas. It doesn't change through standardized political action. So I don't think we would ever support any party directly, in the way that our members are happy to do so in their personal lives, but never on behalf of European Students for Liberty, because then again, we believe we have to make people endorse the ideas first, and then politicians will follow that people's will and hunger for liberty.
Well, that follows up to my next question. I was going to mention that there are, however, several libertarian political parties in Europe that have been emerging especially in the last 5 years or so, and I was going to ask you whether you knew about any of them and what your opinions on them were.
Well, I mean, there are several libertarian parties. For example, in Spain there is P-LIB, Partido Libertario, and you have now. I agree with you. There's a wave of new pro-liberty parties, but I would take that with a grain of salt, so to say. Why? Because many parties say they're pro-liberty, but they're called part of that niche called the liberal Democrats, which sometimes are not very libertarian, and they're not really for total freedoms and economic freedom. That's point one. Point number two, why not ask the question, if there are so many new political parties, it should mean that more and more people support the ideas of liberty. But then the question that follows up immediately is, so why are these parties not making a significant impact, in the sense that why are they not getting elected or getting or being the fourth or the third largest, even the second largest political force? Well, because people still don't see the value on the ideas because they simply don't know them. Look at the Melza's experience. I think if you were exposed to the ideas of liberty through ESFL or other organizations in your campus, maybe you would have supported liberty from the start. And so I think you're trying to build a house upside down, if you allow me the metaphor. By trying to go into political action first without really having a solid base in the community that is pro-liberty, I don't think you will see many results. So that's why I like to privilege and invest my time in changing people's minds first with facts and results and reason. And then, if they are convinced, and when they are convinced, because I think it's only a matter of time, I truly believe that these parties will grow in numbers and will have a very pronounced and expressive political expression throughout Europe.
That's great, I have to agree. So, some questions from the audience. Valerie asks, is there a cap on attendees for the London conference?
No, there is no cap, and it's an open conference. You can just go. And feel free to anyone, I don't mind sharing this, to share my email or my Facebook contact to help people get to know more SFL. And I'm in London, I can introduce you to the people, and if you really want to get involved in the movement and do more for liberty, I'm always at your disposal, whoever it is, to learn more. Even if they don't agree with the ideas, I'm more than happy in my free time to sit down and explain and try to make a meaningful impact on an individual's life.
I think we can arrange for a contact email to be displayed in the YouTube description for when we post this video.
Yeah, that would be great.
We have another question from a guest, Jody, asking, is the ESFL essay contest open to non-Europeans? So can they apply from abroad?
I think so. I think it's possible, but then again, it really depends on your region. But I think that should be possible. Then again, shoot me an email and I'll redirect you all the information. Because then again, if getting too much into specifics, but I do think it's available for everyone. Demelza, maybe since you've been on this recently, you can comment on that.
I sure hope it's available for everyone because I'm not a European. I live in Europe.
It's definitely available for everyone. I'm pretty sure it is.
I hope so. It didn't say that it wasn't when I read the instructions.
So I'm pretty sure. As libertarians, we have an open border and policy, so I'm pretty sure that should translate into our contests and to all of our activities.
Yeah, I don't think we should put any barriers on competition.
The word Europe can be defined in many, many ways.
Definitely.
So let's see. Thank you very much for coming on to our show, Bernardo. I think we're finished with questions for now. And this was a great interview. It sounds like you're doing incredible things for the libertarian movement and the liberty movement. So I'm just really happy that you took time to come onto our show today and to tell us all about ways that we can get involved. So that's fantastic.
Well, Demelza and Andreas, I'm honored to be here and to have been given the opportunity to talk about ESFL's great works throughout Europe and SFL's great works throughout the world. And again, thank you to liberty.me for the invitation. And again, on behalf of European Students for Liberty, I invite you to come to our conference in Prague. And again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of Liberty.
Thank you so much
and
for talking to us.
And just right before you go, I wanted to tell our viewers that next week we're going to have Dr. Gerard Casey from a university in Dublin. He's going to talk to us about the culture of offense in Europe and about political correctness and how that's starting to become a trend. So I hope that all of our viewers will stay tuned next week.
I'll definitely tune in for that one.
Right. See you next week.
Thank you. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now, so my name is Demelza Hayes.
Hi guys, my name is Andres. Thanks for joining us tonight with our latest guest. Tonight we'll be talking to Bernardo Almeida, co-founder of Students for Liberty in Europe, in Portugal, and now member of the executive board of European Students for Liberty. So Bernardo, what is it you do with Students for Liberty?
So I am part of the executive board member, and I'm currently the regional director for Portugal and Spain, and I'm in charge of overseeing all the local coordinators in these two countries. So my job is basically to develop a strategy for this year and manage all the resources so that the ESFL can keep expanding in the region. The point in terms of my role is really to make sure everything is run smoothly and that ESFL in Spain and Portugal keep growing. And as part of the executive board, we just decide on the main objectives for each year and divide a strategy for Europe as a whole. It was a bit long, but that's my job description, so to say.
Oh yeah, and thank you for that. I just wanted to back up a second. We didn't really tell any of our viewers right now what's going on. So basically we have a show. This is our second episode of Liberty in Europe. And our guest today is from ESFL. We're going to be talking about ESFL and also about the liberty movement in Europe and contrasting that with the movement in the US. So as Bernardo just explained, he's part of the executive board at ESFL. And I just had a few questions before we started talking about ESFL. I wanted to know, so have you done anything recently, like in the past few days, to bring more liberty to Europe? Like, have you actually done anything recently the past couple of days where, you know, you've had a great discussion with someone or something happened where you felt like, okay, this is going to increase liberty in Europe?
Well, though I'm still not there, I'm excited to say that we just recently selected our new class of incoming local coordinators, which I think is a big boost for liberty in Europe. Just tomorrow.
For ESFL in Liechtenstein. And yeah, I was wondering what that entailed. I guess that I'd have to read more about what local coordinators are doing currently. And how does the training work in Germany? What do people learn?
So people go there after a rigorous selection process. We only select the best and brightest, people that have some experience in running a group or that are active promoters of liberty. But still, we want to really season them and provide them with the tools to gain gain a better ability to promote ESFL. So basically, they learn about how to do a marketing campaign, how to organize events, how to even do some fundraising, and overall, how to have that really backbone on overcoming any obstacle that might arise in their projects to promote liberty.
Wonderful. Well, I'm definitely going to look into that program.
Yeah,
I want to apply to be a local coordinator and definitely attend one of these events where I can learn how to be an effective local coordinator.
I'll be flying to Germany to attend our retreat in Gummersbach, which is really in the middle of nowhere, to provide that experience where people can discuss ideas and get engaged. And we'll be training and guiding over 140 local coordinators so that we can empower them to become the future leaders of liberty in Europe. And recently, not on the past few weeks, but on 2 months ago, I'd also like to mention that I organized the first ever leadership forum in Lisbon. This is part of our leadership forum program all over Europe, and its purpose is not just to promote ESFL and the ideas of liberty, of course, but most importantly to sort of balance in the area and come up with a strategy to push the ideas of libertarianism in the country. This would be Portugal, of course.
Oh, wonderful. I think I read about that. Was it called the Liberty Fora, F-O-R-A? Liberty Fora? What it was?
Yes, yeah. Exactly. And we had the edition of it, which was the Lisbon Leadership Forum. So,
okay.
Yeah. it's going to be an exciting year for liberty in Portugal and Spain.
Yeah, that's really great. So I was thinking about applying to become a local coordinator.
Bernardo, you're also involved with the Ludwig van Mises Institute in Portugal somehow?
I used to be, I was actually one of the co-founders, but due to several reasons, I'm no longer part of the institute, and that's a whole other issue. But I was one of the co-founders, and it has gone through a lot of issues and has a new board, but now I'm only focusing on ESFL.
Great. Can you tell us anything else about anything else you do in Europe aside from ESFL and founding the Ludwig van Mises Institute in Portugal?
Personally speaking, I'm currently a student at the Warwick Business School. I'm studying finance, and I try to get engaged with some of the pro-liberty groups here on my free time. There's the Liberty League in London, which usually organizes a big conference each year that's dedicated to promoting the promotion of the ideas of